Just 1 year after a bloody dispute involving Indian and Chinese soldiers, both sides are now deploying more troops along the 2,000-mile border between the two countries.
Now we're seeing on the Chinese side roughly 200,000 troops, according to some estimates, flow into areas around the border.
And what's been seen as the biggest deployment in India's history, some 50,000 additional soldiers, are matching China's current troop strength in the area.
Sources tell us the threat has been clear and present. India's deployment is about preparedness rather than triggering hostility.
What's important is the sort of troops that they have. They have some pretty serious high-altitude fighters embedded among them. This is a serious deployment designed to try to make the PLA be very concerned about doing a land offensive again.
Both sides are said to be building new roads, bunkers, tunnels, runways, and moving in advanced military hardware. The Wall Street Journal reporting that China has deployed surface-to-air missiles and anti-missile batteries, while India has beefed up its air force.
Both India and China are nuclear-armed countries, and so if a confrontation does take place on that border, it would be problematic for the world and for the United States.
6 decades after the Sino-Indian War, the world's two most populated countries are still going at it in the Himalayas. The last clash coming in June 2020, when Chinese soldiers took several square miles of Indian territory in the Galwan Valley. Indian soldiers fought back, losing 20 of their own. China says 4 of its men died, though that number is thought to be much higher. It was the deadliest incident between the Asian giants in 45 years. Dozens of high-level talks since then have failed to calm growing tensions between Beijing and New Delhi.
The words and deeds of major military and political officials should help ease the situation and increase mutual trust between the two sides.
But it hasn't, leaving India increasingly mistrustful of a powerful neighbor that's pursuing regional and global ambitions.
The overt goal of the Chinese Communist Party is global hegemony, and that begins in the Indo-Pacific. Within the Indo-Pacific region, the biggest counter to their narrative is India. And the goal is basically to fragment and render India inoperative, because India is the best hope for other democracies in the region to try to withstand China's aggressive expansion.
In the past year, Beijing has expanded political and economic fights, spreading to Vietnam, Philippines, Bhutan, Nepal, Australia, and Indonesia.
This is not a one-off that China is only threatening India. This is part of Chinese aggressive behavior against all its neighbors, against any country it considers a rival.
Indo-China watchers say it's all part of President Xi Jinping's goal to also drive a wedge between Washington and New Delhi.
What's very important from an American perspective is to understand that there is an active political warfare campaign designed to make us distrust and dislike India, so that India and the U.S. can't come together to fight what is an existential threat for both of us, which is the Chinese Communist Party.
Meanwhile, top Indian military commanders openly talk about their concerns of a simultaneous conflict with arch-rival Pakistan on its western flank and China to the east. Both countries continue to forge deep military and strategic ties.
You could end up in a two-front war. You could end up in a war in which, Pakistan engages in a conflict and then China opportunistically goes in to try and seize a bit of territory. So Indian forces are much more stressed now than they were, I think, even a few years ago.
Experts now worry that with these additional troop deployments come possibilities of a miscalculation on either side that could result in more deadly clashes. George Thomas, CBN News.